This is the plaintiff, Jill. She says she gave the defendant, a DJ, a deposit for a party she was having, and when the state of Connecticut shut down, her party was canceled. The defendant refuses to return her hard-earned money, and she's suing him for the $1,191.25 she says she's rightfully owed. This is the defendant, Ronnie. He says he tried to accommodate the plaintiff with another date, but she wouldn't budge. Then she went and trashed him on social media, and the local Chamber of Commerce give her a refund. No way. He's accused of letting the music die.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that the defendant, a DJ, won't refund her deposit after she had to cancel her party because of the pandemic. The defendant is saying he's willing to give her another date, but she won't budge. It's the case of the day the music died.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Jill, talk to me. What happened here?
So back in 2019, I planned for a B'nai Mitzvah for my kids, and it was scheduled to be on October 10th of 2020 at Hotel Zero in Danbury, Connecticut. And with that, I hired
a B'nai Mitzvah. Explain to me what a B'nai Mitzvah is.
Okay, so I had two kids, a son and a daughter, who were having their bar and bat mitzvah together.
Okay.
So that's that.
I knew that, but it just, want to make sure America knew. All right, so you have twins, a boy and a girl, and they're each having their party together, and then you hire Mr. Ronnie, you're a DJ?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how did you hear about him? Did you hear him somewhere? Somebody recommend him? How did you find out about him?
Actually, I just did an internet search looking in my area, and his name came up because he's about 20 minutes away.
Okay. And then what happens?
So we met, and we really liked him. So on November 6th of 2019, we signed a contract with him, and I put down a deposit of $450 at that time. And then on or about March 3rd of 2020, when COVID was starting to make its way into New York, I did reach out to him early on in March and asked him what would be his policy for cancellation or refund at that time. And he said that there was no refund of any deposit, but we probably would be able to reschedule if that needed to be, but not to worry yet. So in good faith, we moved forward, gave the second deposit of $225.
Right. Hold on one second. I want to see the email you sent him because I read that and it didn't look to me like you were saying COVID is coming barreling at us because people were pretty ignorant still on March 2nd, starting with me. So I want to see that email. Here we go. Due to some unforeseen issues, I'm not sure that the kids will be having their B'nai Mitzvah as planned. Not due to COVID or, hey, I'm worried about a pandemic. It's due to some unforeseen issues. That kind of implied that you had your own reasons. What is the last day I can receive a refund? I'm trying to make a decision this week as to what to do. And he says, sorry, no refunds. And then you send him another payment. So the party's on.
I did.
And then, in serious, in all full force and flagrante delicto by the mid-March, starting to be end of March, our walls come crumbling down. And then what happens?
So 2 weeks later, as you know, COVID came and Connecticut was put down on lockdown. So on May 18th, actually, the Hotel 0 Degrees actually canceled our event after Governor Lamont's order saying that all indoor parties can only have 25 people, and that included any and all staff that worked. So with that, we were forced to cancel. Now, your party
was going to be how many people?
125.
125. And the contract that you have, let's take a look at the contract. The contract that you have with Mr. Ronnie says it's 125 people, right?
Right, yes.
So then what happens?
So they canceled, and then we reached out to Ronnie and decided that we were not going. He offered us to have a different date. But as you know, with bar and bat mitzvahs, the date that they have is kind of the date that they have. They've learned portions of their Torah for that date specifically. So we were never going to plan to reschedule it. So we reached out. We tried to be reasonable. I got nowhere with him. I called the Chamber of Commerce, seeing if they can help me. I called the Better Business Bureau. Finally, I went with an attorney who reached out to him, and he specifically said that he'd reschedule, but he's going to do absolutely no refund. He actually even reached out to my venue and asked them if they would write a letter stating that I canceled and not them. And I actually sent you a copy of that. They called me and forwarded me.
Yeah, that was rather peculiar. And I'm going to get into that with him. But according to your venue, he called and said that he wanted something from them that said that you could still have a party. It would just have to be a smaller one or whatever. Now, had your venue told you, well, you can have a 10-person party or you can have a 15-person party and then cancel because you don't want a 15-person party? Like, in other words, how did it go with the venue?
The venue sent me an email stating, and I think I forwarded you that as well, that they canceled all events through the end of the year. They didn't offer anything else. I could have rescheduled for another time in 2021, I guess. But again, that was never an option for us.
Mr. Ronnie, talk to me. This has hit everybody very hard. I'm sure that the people it has hit the hardest are the venues, the DJs, the party planners, the caterers. I mean, it's hit everybody hard. I hate picking out one, but the litigation that I seem to have at all hours of the night and day seems to be exactly this. So talk to me and tell me why it is that you should be able to keep the deposit.
When she tried to cancel prior to COVID, clearly stated in the contract that if the client cancels for any reason, any payments made, will be considered liquidated damages. So knowing that, she, proceeded with the event, moving the contract forward. And, we reserved the date for her. Nothing in the mandate really prevented us from providing the service that we were going to be providing on the day that we were going to provide.
But what are you going to do? You're going to be a DJ?
Yeah.
I know, but there is, because she can't have it. Yeah. The venue closed down, shut down for the rest of the year. And so what are you going to do? Play music in her backyard? I mean, really, can you really comply with what the intent of that contract was? And you're right, she did try to cancel first on you. But in fairness, she should try to say, well, I'm not sure we're going to do this for whatever reason she has, and I'm not pressing her on. But then after that, she paid you the other part of the deposit. So she wasn't trying to weasel out of this. She paid the other $200 and something, which means full steam ahead. And then COVID happened to have happened. So how, Mr. Ronnie, what if sometimes I have your side really invested in it, like they've paid for linens, they've bought decorations, they've done this and that. What exactly has a DJ done in preparation?
Well, it's not really. I mean, we met, we had a consultation. When somebody reserves a date, you book that date for them, and then what you're saying is, I'm committing to your event. I'm no longer going to take any other business that I make for that date.
Absolutely. So, but there is no other business you could have taken. We now know that because there's a shutdown in your state. So it's not like you were going to take other business. You can take other business.
That's not really true, because we've done other weddings in the month of September and October. So people had to modify their guest counts.
What was the date? What was the date of the party supposed to be? October 10th. So, anyway, so you say you've done other parties. What's the biggest party you've done?
75 to 100, and that's a combination indoor-outdoor.
But see, that's not the party she hired you for, though, right? She hired you for an indoor party at a venue that can't have it, on a date that the venue won't have it, to play music for 125 people, which can't happen. And I hear what you're saying. You don't want to give the money back because, really, you saved the date and everything else. But she's trying to get the money back when? Is it May? When you're saying, look, this isn't going to go forward. I want my money back.
Well, 5 months.
So these parties you could have, right? So then you had 5 months to go ahead and rebook the date. Were you able to rebook the date?
No, because we were trying to work it out with her to do another.
No, she already told you she's not doing it. No, but another event wouldn't. Excuse me. Another event would not have been that date. I am asking you if you were able to rebook that date. What's the answer to that? Did you play on October 10th?
No, did not. But that's not to say that the first 5 months that I held the date, I could have gotten, I could have gotten another offer to do another date.
Which you also would have had to return the money for. Now let's discuss what ended up happening, by the way, with your kids. What have you decided, Miss Jill?
So on October 10th, we had 10 people, and we had a B'nai Mitzvah, and no party, no nothing, because we weren't allowed it, and we weren't allowed more than 10 people in the synagogue. So that was it. It was beautiful, but there was no party.
Right. And what, your kids aren't demanding the party at some point?
Actually, they're not, to be honest with you. I think they understand. They've been out of school for, how many months now. They understand that everything's very different now. So
I'd be demanding the party. I don't understand these kids. It was foregoing 125 gifts.
Welcome back to the People's Court. The real losers here are the twins who don't get a party. Let's go back into the courtroom.
You talked about 125 people, and you say that it was inside. Had there not been COVID and she wanted to do the party outside, we would have accommodated outside. If it turned out that she had 250 people, that wouldn't change anything that we did. We would still provide the same service. So it works. It works in her direction in one way, but in the other direction,
no,
it
doesn't.
You agree?
And by the way, but I'm glad you said that. Because in your contract, one of the things you say is that if there's an act of God or a force majeure, I don't have to perform. Well, if it works for you, why doesn't it work for Jill? That's exactly what you say in your contract, but you don't want it to work that way with her.
No. If it prevented us from not being able to provide service, which we can, there's nothing in what she's claiming.
No, Mr. Ronnie, I disagree with you. Ms. Jill, let me ask you a question. You're demanding legal fees, but where in that contract does it say that if it gets to court, you'd be entitled to legal fees? It doesn't.
Okay, yeah, that part I don't know. We couldn't get anywhere, so I hired an attorney. He spoke to my attorney. My attorney sent letters to him. He's tried to settle this, so this would have been settled months ago, and that just never.
But I understand. But the way it works is you have to have a legal entitlement to attorney's fees to get them. Like, in other words, sometimes it's in the contract where, and his side, the vendor, will put it in the contract because they want their legal fees if they have to fight. And then there's a concept in the law that once that's in a contract, there's reciprocity, and that means you too could avail yourself. Or it has to be a completely laughable defense, which this is not a laughable defense. So you're not entitled to the attorney's fees, but I believe that you are entitled to get your money back. And I'm ordering him to pay you back the $675. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
So the judge finds for the plaintiff, she gets her $675 back. I'm sure Ronnie, the defendant, the DJ, is not too happy about that. What are you thinking, Ronnie?
Well, that's the reason why we're here. I'm going to respect the judge's decision, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's her decision, and I'll honor that.
All right, Jill, how do you feel about this? I know you tried to work it out before going to court, but he wouldn't cooperate there. You had to go to court, right?
Yeah, there really was no choice. I mean, we hired him to perform a service, and the service wasn't performed, and we needed our money back, and I'm grateful that we were able to get it.
All right, well, good for you. Congratulations. Sorry you couldn't have the party.
It's kind of interesting that she spent $500 and something for a lawyer to get $600 and something back, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got a feeling maybe the lawyer's a friend and not going to charge her. But
kind of good money after bad if you did, right? These cases are tricky. I mean, they're all very fact specific. These COVID cancellation things, and they're all different, and the equities vary. And I guess really in this instance, your take is he really could not have performed as contemplated by
I just think, of all the vendors in the world, the DJ is the one that really doesn't have to do anything until the night of the party. Literally has nothing to do until the night of the party. Maybe a week before when they're sending him lists of what songs. Right. Maybe that's when he starts working. So, we've had cases that involve the party planners, and there's a lot of work in it. We've had cases that, those are, it's like you said, they're very fact specific. It's not like, hey, vendors, everybody get back the money. It's not quite like that. They're all very much, they rise and fall on the facts of their own case. And of all the people who doesn't have to do anything, it's the DJ. And the DJ whose contract says if there's force majeure, there's force majeure.
So Tanya wants to know this. I love this one, by the way. Hey, Harvey. Tenant's package was stolen from the front stoop, and now his tenant is holding him responsible and deducting money from his rent. Can he do that? I mean, here's the thing. If somebody puts a package on the front stoop and somebody steals it, if the landlord didn't tell the delivery guy to do it, I don't see any liability on the landlord's part or the tenant's part. I mean, this is just one of the byproducts of this pandemic where people are going around and stealing these things, and it is something to think about when you're getting a delivery.